Well, hey, Jason, welcome to Leading is Serving.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you today.
It's good to see you, too. And we're starting a new week here, but even though we dropped this in the middle of the week, we're starting our new week.
That's right.
How's things going for you?
Not bad.
Yeah?
Not bad. Yeah, it's been a slower start to the year than I had hoped for, but
yeah,
nothing's crashing and burning, so
right.
I'm happy with that.
That's always good.
How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Things are. I mean, I can't believe we're in February already. I know it seems like every time we turn around, we're like, oh, I can't believe it's the end of January, end of 2022. Now we're in the middle of 2023.
Right.
It's just time keeps picking up faster and faster.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Recently, we celebrated my daughter's 14th birthday, and so that's kind of put the time crunch on me a little bit too.
There's some of those birthdays hit heavier, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was like, well, you're older, like,
right.
That's not going to work for me. Slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, it's been good.
Well, good. Good. Well, we're glad you joined us on the podcast today. If you want to jump over to leadingisserving.com, give us a review or rating, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. We're taking nominations for leaders right now. If you've got somebody that you know of that would make a great interview, or you think you've got a story you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. Mm-hmm. And and the groups. Right. We got groups firing up.
Yes,
and so
we do.
We'd love to hear from you on that as well. If you want to be a part of one of our peer-to-peer mentoring groups through the Uncommons Network, we would love to hear from you. So shoot us a message, and we will get you plugged in.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Well, hey, I wanted to talk about something today that kind of popped up recently.
Go for it.
So I was talking to a friend of mine, a close friend. We won't give this person's name, but they're in the corporate ladder, or the corporate side of things. This person doesn't own their own business, but very much a decision maker in the mix.
Yeah,
of
kind of a top leader.
Yeah, and I was talking to him about how he was implementing things in his business, and it was just amazing. Even though he wasn't the owner or he's kind of the operator, but not the owner of the situation or owner of the business. It was just super cool to learn from firsthand from somebody who is not an owner how much leading is serving is effective inside of even a corporate ladder.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to talk with him about what he was doing and how much he was empowering people that were underneath him to make decisions on how, whether it be disciplinary things, like trying to figure out how to, correspond with them in regards to trying to figure out what they would like to see happen and what kind of communication style they would like to see from management to be able to talk about things that were problems or, that needed to be fixed.
Right.
And so I was like, man, I love that. Like, so it's not being dictated from the top on what needs to be done, but you're having a team meeting of understanding like, hey, we got some problems over here. We got these things are going great. How do you guys want to see that happen? How do you guys want to see us talk about those things? Right. And completely put that in their framework of, so what do you see as beneficial for this? And so they came up with a framework for disciplinary things and as well as other things, but to communicate each other back and forth between management and some of the employees, how to work through some of those problems. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like you would think that as an owner operator that it'd be easy, that you have to implement that, right? I mean, you're trying to affect differently, go in without the hammer down and it's got to be this way. But it's happening even inside of a corporate ladder situation where they're giving people the reins of, hey, how do you want to do this?
Right. Yeah, that leadership really is, the concept of 360-degree leadership, right?
Right.
That you're not just leading downward to the people that are below you in the ladder, right?
Right.
But you're leading upward as well.
Right.
Upwards into the ladder, that you have influence in that direction, as well as to your peers, right? All directions.
So in the midst of all this, he has seen change in his team.
Right.
And so people have gained more responsibility as well as gaining ownership of their part of the team. And then what it's done is it affected change for this person who I was talking with, because he can now focus on some other things that need to get done. Mm-hmm. And then what I didn't realize is then he went to a meeting and was able to share that with some other people to help them implement what he was doing.
Right. And the meeting was with what, like peers and
peers
and upper?
Some upper management and some peers.
Right.
And so I was like,
okay.
Wow. Like, and so then sharing his success in watching that happen in mm-hmm. his own group of people, in his own team.
Right.
Right. I mean, it doesn't really matter how this was set up, but it's his team of inside of a corporate ladder.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he can only do so much because he doesn't own it all. Right.
Right.
But the awesome part is he's been given the freedom to be able to do these things and then implement them and then affect change accordingly. And now he's able to share the results with others around him, as well as, higher management that's been able to see the changes that are happening.
Right.
And I mean, it's just, and so the person I was talking to was talking about how exciting he's excited because of the whole Leadership 360 model.
Right.
Where now he's leading in multiple spaces just because he was able to shift some things and because he saw the value in that prior to doing it. Yeah. And my guess is if he was sitting here and we were interviewing him, he would tell you it's not easy. Right. And I think he totally saw that. He said, at times it was not easy for him to implement the things that he was doing, but there was the greater good in the midst of it. And I was just like, wow, this is leading is serving at its core inside of a corporate ladder.
Right.
And I hadn't seen that before. Right. And it was exciting for me. Mm-hmm. Granted, I'm not in the corporate world, right? So but I also, it was neat to see how, even if it doesn't matter what your situation is, you can lead from anywhere.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the things we've talked about is how in the 21st century, leadership is shifting. Right. That, back in the 20th century, the basis of leadership was on authority.
That's so
There's a hierarchy, and the authority flows down. Mm-hmm. And even if you're in different cities as, say a store manager or something like that, even if you're in different locations, different neighborhoods, different cultures, right? You're still expected to run it the exact same way because that's the authority of the structure. Right. And here what what you're describing and what we're seeing is that shift into the 21st century is not authority, it's influence.
Right.
And because, this friend of yours even asked for input from below.
Right.
You can influence this process. We need to make some changes, and hopefully, this influences up the ladder too. But it's not just about me and my authority of what I'm going to say goes my way or the highway.
Right.
It's, let's make the system better.
Right.
And you influence this. Tell me what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're experiencing the company in our location, right?
Right.
And and then results start happening.
Right.
And now the store leader basically has influence corporate wide, not authority, but influence.
Right.
Right. And it's not even results based influence. It's they hear the design of, this is going well, not just because of results, not just because of bottom line, but the strength, the resilience of my team.
Yeah.
And
the buy-in from all people that are connected to that team.
Right.
It's just, I think that's what, I've heard multiple leaders talk about this next generation that, it's somewhat of a struggle bus because it's all run on, they want to influence people, they want to help people, but yet we sit down with a hierarchy setup, in a corporate environment and automatically delegate, hey, you got to do this, 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 and this.
Right.
Nobody ever, and don't get me wrong, there's a place for that too, like where you there's some things you have to do, right?
Right.
Right. But I also know that, okay, so then give them an option for the stuff they don't have to do. They'll be like, hey, let's talk about this. How do you think we should do this? Or ask them what their 2 cents are and what it is that they can do that better.
Yeah, we're still in kind of that gray zone of shifting. Between two eras, there's always a gray zone, is what I've been learning.
Okay.
And, in that liminal space, that gray zone, things are still kind of mushed together. And so a lot of times, even younger generations, we're like, I want to have influence.
Right.
Okay, well, you may not have hit the bumps and bruises
right.
to gain that influence. But we still stick influence into structures. Right. Of I've got to get to the top. If I could just get 1,000 followers or 100,000 or a million followers, then I would have influence. And it's still about rising to the top. But influence is more about serving. Leading is serving. That we're serving, we're fighting for the highest good of others.
Right.
When people know that we've got their back.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, I want to hear from you. I want to give you input. And so.
Well, and I think, so to that point, right? So we're talking about those younger generations. Well, and so many, the people that are influencing them are oftentimes the people that just accidentally fell upon it. They truly don't have any major influence except a TikTok video or a YouTube video they made. And they're not, they're just keeping it up. They're not, they're not always influencing people for the betterment of the whole, if that makes sense.
Right.
They might just be trying to make sure that their numbers are up so they can keep getting paid by YouTube.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, and I think that's what our younger generations are seeing, because so many of these people are putting out videos and all these kids are watching it. They're still getting paid. So they go out and buy these cars, Lamborghinis, like whatever. Yeah, they're influencing people, but are they influencing people the way, that has weight?
Right. Right. And that's what we're seeing in this example of leadership, is that it has weight for their team. It has weight for the corporation as a whole.
Right.
And, one of the things I was thinking about while you were talking about that is giving people the opportunity to have that influence. Okay. That as we, if you happen to be the corporate leader or the regional manager or, something where you're looking to others to lead underneath you, are you giving them the appropriate amount of both responsibility and authority? You know, that you can give them responsibility. Hey, you need to lead this location, and you need to lead these 20 people that serve, or 100 people, however many.
Right.
Whether this is I'm thinking like grocery store, corporate location, or it's a little coffee shop. You know, whatever your team size is, you're given the responsibility of growing this location. But do you have the authority to influence change? Right. And that's something that I think we need to think through as leaders, of thinking through, I've given the responsibility of going and doing this task, but have I given the authority to find maybe better ways or cost-saving ways, or, hey, if we do this too, then this pairs nicely together. And I mean, who knows?
What's that tool? Do you have that tool?
I think it was called effective delegation.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I remember you and I talking about this for a completely different situation last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it's funny that this has come around full turn. Like, here it is again. Like, and I just was talking to another person, influential person, as far as like a decision maker, about this very thing too. Right. Because it's a teetering situation where not enough authority creates issues on the teeter-totter of authority versus delegation.
Absolutely.
Was it delegations on the
responsibility?
Responsibility, sorry.
Yeah.
So between the responsibility and the authority of things, if you don't, it
needs a balance.
It does. It needs a balance, and too much of one thing is not good, but not enough of one thing is not good.
Right. Right.
So it is not. It's not easy to walk that line. Yeah. So I would say just have real conversations about that.
Yeah. Because which falls right back into the maturity of understanding the 5 voices.
Yes.
That maturity is not being able to speak all 5 voices well. Right. Maturity is recognizing it in others and respecting them, honoring their voice, even if it's your nemesis, it's your no thank you voice,
right?
To allowing that voice to be heard, which is what this leader did. Went to the team and said, "You have a voice.
Yeah,
I want to hear what you're thinking."
Right.
And then when they had the opportunity to present things in a broader environment,
right,
corporate went, "We want to hear more about your voice and what you're doing."
Right.
And give you more opportunity, more influence, right? And so, yeah, I mean, when we take time to honor others, fight for their highest good, listen to what they have to say, we gain and give influence over all of that. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know I enjoy learning about these things. And there's always a time or two where I'm like, man, I'm not sure when I'm going to use this tool. But I tell you what, in the last 7 days, this one tool that you shared with me last week, because I personally was having some issues trying to work through some stuff, trying to work with one of my voices on my team and trying to figure out how to best coach them. And in the midst of it, realized that this tool overflowed into several areas of my life that I was like, nuh-uh. So, it's like, it's always great to be able to put this stuff in practice. Absolutely. I mean, obviously we try to, right? But we always, when the rubber meets the road, it's like, oh, this was awesome.
Right. So if you guys are sitting out there this week going, what are all these tools? What are the 5 voices? I mean, we've got some past episodes, of course, you can jump back in there, but we would love to talk with you further about some of these. So reach out. We definitely value relationships and
reach out, because we would love to chat with you about this. Take the 5 voices tests, and let's talk about this, because I don't know how many times this week I've said to people, "Have you taken the 5 voices test? What are you?"
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like
nice.
Several times. I'm like, I don't, like, I know other people will use Enneagram, and there's a couple other things out there, but
PI and Colby and DISC and Myers-Briggs.
But the crazy part is I've done several of those already.
Right. Do you remember them?
No. And on top of that, what's worse is that I didn't know how to break them down. Like, it just was so, the concept, I'm sure the concept was there, and had I had the right person to translate what it said, I probably would have been. No, I take that back. I did go through it on one of them and did have a translator come in and talk, and I thought it was really good. But I don't know, the 5 voices brings it home for me.
Yeah.
Like, after I took the 5 voices and you and I've talked about it, I was like, everybody needs to know about this, because it's so much more relatable. I can follow up. I can go back to it on my own, even after you and I, I don't know all of it by any stretch.
Right.
You're my key point person for that. But I know that there's many times where I can go back and look at something and go, I mean, like, I can understand most of it.
Right.
It doesn't require somebody to translate the whole book to me.
Right.
I can translate the basics and then try to get a pretty good feeling about things, and also helping implement it to others, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's so much more boots on the ground, I guess. It's in my head.
I mean, it's designed to be. There's 4 S's, 4 S words: simple, scalable, sustainable, and then I like adding sticky in. That it really hits those of. It's simple and it's sticky. It's just there.
Right.
You get it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, with these tools, like I noticed this week, Peace Index popped up in my conversations, and this week, it's like somebody was struggling. Hey, have you tapped back into your Peace Index?
Right.
What's your number? Where are you at? Like, use these tools.
Yeah.
These are effective tools to help you understand what you're going through or something you need to be working on.
Right.
So if you know yourself and you know your Peace Index, just think how much further ahead you can be.
Right.
And like, I feel like sometimes I kind of rant and rave about this, but it's like, hey guys, like, this is the simple stuff. Start here. This will give you a great understanding of where you're going next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, I'm done ranting. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. We got a little off topic there.
Right.
But,
Sorry about that.
When Chris gets on a roll, we'll just let him go. So. But hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in today. We're so glad you joined us. We just hope that you catch the vision and the inspiration to go and fight for the highest good of others, to serve each other as you lead, and just bring influence to the world.
Super excited about sharing this stuff so that you can go out and share it with others as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just so powerful.
We don't necessarily need more leaders. We need more better leaders.
Yeah,
and so you guys are the future in that, and let's go and do it.
Yeah, sounds great. Have a great week.
We'll catch you guys next time.